Okay, I show 6:10, so we'll go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. Are there any changes or adjustments to the agenda?
Not from this end of the table.
If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Flag it.
Behind there.
Behind there.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
ESAC County Schools empower all students to become productive, responsible citizens of an ever-changing global society. We'll take a minute now for public input on non-agenda items. Okay, then we will move on to the secretary report.
So we've got our fund balances in there, kind of consistent month over month. You can see that the operating fund is up year over year still. The goal of mine is similar to like what we did for the capital projects, coming up with a 5-year plan. Want to do that with the operating fund too, so we can kind of see where we expect that to end up with our enrollment changes from last year. Maybe once we know a little bit more from this year, we can get a better idea of where that's heading in the future. I didn't do anything with the year-to-date stuff again because it's just August, so we would only have 1 month, and that doesn't really tell you where you're going to end up. So next month is our audit, September 15th. That's probably going to be the same day as the board meeting, so busy day for me, but hopefully it goes all right. So, any questions?
All right. I don't believe we had any correspondence,
No correspondence.
so we will move on to administrative reports.
All right, so yeah, from the elementary building, just the building in general. I don't know how many of you have been in, but it looks amazing. Scott and his team are to be commended. The paint scheme and just how we are, I don't know, making it be Raider Nation. It really looks nice. When you come into the cafeteria, the doors are red. There's it just looks really good, and the building is clean. The other thing, we had some new screens, new technology. I have a large screen in my office now, so I can access cameras right as I'm sitting there. So I think that's been a good installation. And then all locks in the building. I think Nate's probably reported on this, but we're updated. I was there while they were going around. And then, especially important, I learned at a training this summer. I'll be presenting this on Friday, but in all active shooter situations, not one time has an active shooter reached a locked doorway. And so the locks that we installed, are a great asset to the building. So again, big commendation, whatever, however you want to say this, Scott, this team. So it looks amazing. Summer PD on July 18th. 13 teachers along with myself attended Engaging Learners, a training in Pocahontas. It was put on by the Iowa Department of Education. The teachers, they were very attentive. It was good training. They walked away with practical things to implement right away in their classroom. It was a free training, so it was good, and they did a nice job. I also then attended the emergency response training in Bondurant with Tony in early August. That was put on by the Governor's Bureau of Safety, conducted by the I Love You Guys Foundation. And I did add in that handout. So this will be part of our new handouts that I give to our teachers. And we'll be talking with local law enforcement and emergency responders. The big thing is that this helps the communication be a lot more seamless. They talked about one of the biggest problems in a situation is communication. But when we're all on the same page with these things, like through dispatch or whatever, knowing what a hold is, exactly what a secure means, lockdown means, evacuate, and then shelter. This is across the nation. They've done trainings across the globe, but they call it the Standard Response Protocol, and it's come from lots and lots of research around, unfortunately, situations that have happened both in schools and other locations. So just a quick little You can see that on there. We'll be training our staff. We'll start on Friday, and then it's like just a continuous that we'll be coming around to with that, so. Otherwise, onboarding new teachers, I said we started of our elementary teachers, we had a half day in early August and then a half day today. And then tomorrow, we actually have all new teachers. But the elementary teachers, that first half day a week ago, just to get some curriculum in their hands, the materials, they like time to just dig into it and look at it. Otherwise, when we do it all together, we've got feedback that it's a lot, it's overwhelming. So we have used that feedback to try to improve that. And we got 2 new and just met with them again this morning. They're feeling pretty good, getting ready. So excited about adding those 2 individuals to our team. And then new this year for us, we are, I approached Nate about this opportunity and he was in agreement. We're trying a new kindergarten slow start. What we recognize is it's a big jump from 4 to 5. They come for, a half a day, and now they're 5 and they're there a full day. So first day of school, they won't have school. It'll be an open house situation. So from noon to 8, parents will have the opportunity to come in with their child, see the surroundings, meet with the teacher, a little one-on-one. And then on Tuesday, we'll have half the class there. So they'll have about 10 kids, opportunity to teach. Expectations is kind of, with only half of them, a little more adult attention. And then the next day, they'll have the other half. And then Thursday, they'll have their full class together, so you can see that schedule. And then I just have the information about our other elementary open houses, preschool and our 1st through 6th grade. So, any questions for me?
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit more about the locks? Because the reason I'm asking this question, when I was on the police department, we always checked doors around the school. And most time when we found an open door, was always those individual doors that led to a classroom. So what is the policy during the school day about those doors? And are these locks, is that a locks where the office can make sure all the outside doors are locked? Or are they all individual?
All of our outside doors are always locked. These would be at the elementary. So every outside door, we're always in what you would probably call a secure, where, although we don't bring kids up, they get to go outside to the playground or whatever, but they have to enter through the main entrance, and Deanna's right there. So these would be just, for us, it's the interior classroom doors into our hallway. I don't know if the outside locks have changed. Did they? Just the interior?
No. So all of our work was on the interior side. Our exterior is locked down, has been locked down. At least it should be. There's no open doors during the school day, unless you get buzzed in through the office from the secretary, or you have a badge, or have a fob. So our work this year and through the safety grant was to replace the interior locks. And here in the pictures, I think all of us who've worked in the school districts for more than 20 years, we've been through a series of changes as far as locks go. So we have some of our older doors on the outside, it was the key in, and you could only lock it that way. So if it was locked from the outside, it was locked. And then if you go to, like, let's say our new hallway downstairs, there's a key on both sides. The only way you can lock that door is with the teacher key, lock it from either side. And that was the technology 5 years ago. And what they're saying now is, as Mrs. Halbert noted, that in all of these terrible situations, none of these people have been able to breach a locked door. So with this is, if there's a classroom full of kids, and let's say the teacher had stepped out for just a second and something happened, they can shut that door and they can push that button. And it's secure, instantly secure. So whether it's an adult or a kid, if something happens, we can lock those doors. All of the teachers will have keys that open all of the doors except the offices. So our custodians or any adult can get in there with a key. But the science behind this is it's quick, it's easy, everybody can understand unlocked and locked, white and red, and just tragic example, but down in Perry, they had the same locks that we put in here, and the shooter was not able to reach the doors. So when that happened, doors got shut, it got locked. We don't have the ability to push a button in the office that just locks all the doors. Okay, that's not there, but these buttons make it pretty simple, pretty quick. Did that answer your question, Mark?
Yeah.
Becky, anything else?
No.
One thing with your slow start, I would probably add is due to having to start on a Monday. This was probably a very good option this year, being that it's a real long week for those little kids that have gone from not going to bed probably when they should to 5 full days of school. So I think that was part of the consideration when you brought this to me is, when we start on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, it's not necessarily as intense, but starting on a Monday with the kindergartners, it's going to be an adjustment. So that was part of the reason.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of what I have in my board report is just updates over what went on in the summer and some of our planning that we've been working on for the school year there. So I started off by just kind of recapping. We took 18 different staff members with me to the PLC conference up in Minnesota, and I just kind of highlighted some key takeaways that we had from that experience, things that we met just this last week, and things that we talked about together about, making sure that we're using data to drive decisions and instruction, developing intervention and enrichment plans, which is actually going to be one of our big pieces that we want to do with our advisor this year. We're moving that to the end of the day and making sure that we add a little bit of an intervention plan that I had in here to talk about here later too. But it's really more about how you work together when you're working on PLCs, about how we're communicating and focusing on trying something and seeing if it works based off the data that we get from it, and kind of going back and just continuing that process over and over again. Now let's see, this worked kind of well, let's try this instead, and then again, we come back together to talk about how much we're doing and look at that and decide, keep doing that, or what else can I try? I think it's always a good way to interact with each other and try to improve things. So yeah, like I was talking about last week, we met, talked about establishing our PLCs, what we wanted that to look like. Here at the beginning, we meet with all of the teachers this week. We're going to be setting up and trying to come up with commitments about how we should interact together, kind of like practice some of those things, what should be happening in a PLC, going over and creating norms, and then talking about how the structure of how it's going to go, because we want to set them off on the right foot of like, this is what it should look like, and make sure that we get working together the way that we should. Okay, it's about working together really well as a team, and all those things that you talk about with data and making sure that we are working to improve for the students and being very intentional. Our intervention plan that I was talking about is that with our advisor moving to the end of the day, we have a plan to schedule kids out for reteaching and working through things that we think kids that might miss certain standards. Those students are going to be picked to different rooms without anybody else being in there. We've kind of been doing some of that with like makeup work, like here, I need to help you, I need to do this, I need to do that. Now it's going to be more of a reteaching session for those specific students. And the ones that don't need it are going to be in study halls if they haven't been told anything, so that we can kind of be more focused and not just giving a little bit of homework help here or there. We're trying to help them be able to just do the work and complete it and understand what we're trying to teach them with maybe a little bit of reteaching. We've got a digital schedule that we're going to use for that. That's going to help us kind of organize it. There's a lot of big things to talk about with the teachers as we get started that are, leading to making sure these things become successful. But making sure that we know how to use that scheduler and what is expected of them during that intervention time. Out of the week, we'll still have 2 days of the week where we meet just with their advisor teachers. They still get that, you get that person that you get to interact with on a way that you kind of build a better bond with. We get to go through, and when we do conferences and things, that we've built up kind of a portfolio of like, this is how you've been doing. We've done grade checks together. We've done all, they're going to know them pretty well still, even though we're not meeting every day in that same way. So that's what we plan with for that for now. I think it's a good idea for all the kids, and it's something the teachers can do without having to do a lot of extra planning. It's just, am I going to reteach this to this group? Then the next two things I have in there are our back to school night for the junior high. My big thing with that was to have the teachers and to have, last year I didn't have like coaches or anybody else, and I had a little bit of feedback from some parents that like with activities and not getting a lot of information that they, like to have somebody there to talk to with that too, and not just put their stuff in their lockers and talk with me. So kind of added that in there too, and I think that's a good thing for parents to be able to hear, and kids to be able to hear for sure, to know when practice and things start and how that's going to go. Then freshman orientation, we're going to do just like we did last year. The plan with that is, since it's a big change for them, we want to like run through their schedule instead of being in that same hallway, for the entire day. They're going to go all over this building, so let's actually practice those schedules together in a really short, 4 minutes for each one, and then my bell's going to ring. We're going to go to our next one, hear from the teacher again, and get a really quick introduction. But we run through their schedule together, and me and Miss Wood, our counselor, we spend a good amount of time at the very beginning of it, kind of setting them up like, hey, credits are going to matter now. You got to look, here's the amount that you need, and we talk through all those things that they need to know too. Just trying to set them up for success as they move on to high school. Yeah, on the last part of that, I kind of put some reviews for some of the bigger changes that I get to talk about with the kids. The cell phone policy being the way that it is. That first day, we're going to talk about that a good amount. Hit it pretty hard, kind of explain to them that, part of this is coming from the state wanting us to make sure we didn't have cell phones during instructional time. But another big part of it is like we're trying to cut down on, how dependent I are on just looking at those phones rather than having interactions with each other. Trying to cut down on some bullying that happens over social media things, and try to just make our environment a little bit more where we're detached from needing to have that phone with us at all times. So I got to talk about both those things with them. I'm sure they'll love having that conversation, but it's a good one, to have with them a little bit as we get into it. And then the credit increase for the freshmen, I'll talk about that at the freshman orientation with them. And then just our junior high tier 2 academic support plan, which goes along with having another like intervention, is having them work on the standards on the Edgenuity online if kids are starting to fall behind at quarter or at semester.
Any questions? Does not sound like it. Thank you.
All right, just a few things I'd like to touch on this month. A lot of it revolves around the projects that we've been working on this summer. Like Mrs. Helber noted, we got to give a big shout out to Scott Stone and our custodial crew, because we have done a fair amount of things this summer that are very visible to anyone who probably walks through the buildings. So whether it was paint or carpet or new doors, a lot of things have happened. So highlight a few of those right now. So new doors and locks. You can see examples of the new doors that are in this building. And note that that was one of the kind of the recommendations that was made by DeNoble right away, is our doors and our locks were in need of improvement, and we were able to tell him, well, we already got that plan. But so the majority of this work was paid for by the federal safety grant. The additional cost came from Save and Pebble. Reason for these locks, they're being recommended right now for school districts. They're quick, they're durable. The new doors also look nice. If you look down the 51 hallway by my office, it looks more modern than it did. So that's a good thing. And as stated, this was needed as kind of an immediate need that we're able to cross off our facilities list at this time. So just some pictures of the new doors, new locks. Again, easy, simple to use, and should be good. So excited for those. Another thing that was completed this last month, we now have lighting in our high school parking lot. So this was obviously taken at night, and there's even enough light kind of shines in that gravel road that goes back behind our lot. So you're a lot more visible in this lot than you've ever been. So that'll be good. I'm sure the kids will also appreciate that, kind of like the cell phone policy, that you're very visible at this lot day or night. So that's a good thing for safety, security, and that's good for everyone. One of the other big things, depending on what door you came in, as you know, the old high school office used to be located right back here. You know, with changes in the last couple of years and moving some classrooms out of the tower building, 22 of our 27 classrooms are located on the first floor of this building. So there's only 5 classrooms up here right now that are being used. And so with that, and also having our door right there, it just made sense that we had our building secretary on the first floor that could greet people coming through, and also keep an eye on the door. And our Lisa, she has a desk by that other door now, so no matter what door kids or anyone comes in, there will be someone there to just kind of monitor who's coming in, what do they need, and how can we help them. One thing about this picture, this is not 100% complete yet. Scott had ordered a countertop to go over that old exposed brick. It was delivered, it was wrong, so we're getting that fixed. And then the end result here will be a roll top cage, garage door cage that comes down at night, so the office is secure, but it's also during the day it's open to anybody who would like to talk to our secretary. So we'll clean that area up a little bit, but I just think it makes a lot more sense to have the people that, you know, we pay to serve people accessible to our kids and our parents. So they'll be down there. And second floor doesn't have to worry because there's still 5 classrooms up here, 5 teachers, and Heather and Miss Wood and Abby. Abby and Heather's office are back here along with Taylor's. So we're still got adequate supervision on this floor. Our counselor's up here. High school counselor, Mrs. Poon, is down in the 7-8 wing. But if you don't remember, that used to be an exterior window there. An exterior window. And so it's a lot of work. Scott did most of it himself, and it turned out real nice. Okay, one of the other changes and kind of moves that happened this summer is the last remaining classroom that was in the Towers building was the art room. And Sarah was up there by herself. And so I think she's looking to be able to socialize a little bit more than just being up there by herself. So we looked at our egg building and kind of realized that there's potential for 3 classrooms out there. And so this is a new art room. This was one of the egg rooms prior. And in order to make it work, her request was to put in a sink in the storage area for washing out paintbrushes and stuff like that. So we were able to accommodate that. So now in the egg building, we're going to have egg plus art, which would be a good thing. And this is Nelson's classroom. One of the additions we had to do here to make this work, we put in air conditioner out there, a mini split unit out there to keep this area cool. It's already insulated and everything. But behind that TV are the 2 doors that go out into the shop. And most of the classes that Nelson teaches involve the shop at some point. So his classroom is connected to the shop area. So it'll just be convenient for him as well. Also more good news here. So last month I reported that the title funds were being held. I think a week after the board meeting, I got an email saying that the title funds have been released for this year. So all is good for now, as far as that goes. Teachers are back this week. So new teachers tomorrow, all teachers Wednesday, all staff on Friday. We got a very full agenda for those 3 days. I'm just looking forward to getting back in the swing of things and seeing everybody back. And then next week, most of our students start on Monday, grades 1 through 12. Kindergarten will have a slow start, described by Mrs. Helber, and preschool on Wednesday. So very emotional time for everybody, teachers, kids, parents. Some kids love coming back to school. Generally, the younger ones do, the older ones. Well, that's what Tony gets to deal with. So, but they know that they have to, and you know, it's a good time of year. So a lot going on. Any questions for my report? Last thing I'd say is we're still looking for associates. Heather, if you could hire, how many associates
4.
you would like to hire? 4. However, if we're unable to do so,
We have a plan for how we're gonna effectively use the adults in the building, as streamlined as possible, to cover all of the needs of the IEPs, and that is something that I'm working on. However, we were able to, right before this meeting, actually offer to someone for an associate position, pending background check. However, she's only here for a semester, but it's something. So keep looking.
so if there's anybody out there who's looking for work, we're still looking for teacher associates. And we got a plan for the year, but we would take a few more if we could find them. So.
Good. All right. We do not have any discussion items tonight, so we'll move on to the action items. First up are the consent agenda. Any questions on any of the items in the consent?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. All of those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on for the activity bus purchase.
Okay, just a little information regarding this, and I'm assuming this is why Brian's here with a smile on his face. But so the bus we're looking at purchasing, it's a new international bus. I believe it'll actually be a 2027, which is what I read on the quote. But being that it's going to be primarily used for activities and field trips, we're electing to go with a 72 passenger frame, which with a 65 passenger capacity. So what that does is there's a little more extra room in between the seats, and that'll be nice for our high school kids that are traveling to ball games. They won't be as tight. This one is quoted with air conditioning, and that'll be a new thing for buses here at ESAC. It's kind of the trend that's happening all around us. Life is just getting more comfortable. So I know that when all of us went to college, our dorm rooms probably were not air conditioned, but they are now. And new buses being sold are being sold with air conditioning. So I talked to another superintendent neighboring district, and he bought 2 last year with air conditioning, and he said they are the most popular buses in the district as far as going to softball and baseball games and field trips. So
Wouldn't doubt it.
it would make sense. This one will be used for activities and field trips. It will not be a route bus. It's going to replace 2 of our older buses. So our current activity buses, except for 01, are 2010 models, as I talked about last board meeting, both with over 150,000 miles on them. And this would be, when we don't have to take the big bus to activities, this would be the one that goes. So, and looking to purchase it out of the Save and Pebble reserves, which is typically where buses are purchased.
I see there's two amounts here. Are we getting the rooftop ones or the skirt mounted air conditioners?
Some of the rooftop, the skirt mounted ones are down below the bus. Or these buses that we're getting, we're going to have storage units down below,
Okay.
like our bus 1.
Yep.
So if you put the AC down there, that defeats the whole purpose of getting the storage down below.
Okay.
So it's a little more to put them up on the top. It just makes a whole lot more sense.
I assume our doors are tall enough to, okay. Okay, good.
I asked that same question.
Sounds good to me.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the purchase of the bus as stated on the board.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve the activity bus purchase as stated. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
6.3, this is our emergency operations plans. Each building has one. Just a little history here. Last year, I went through and I updated both plans and got them current. And then this last year, I handed them over to the building principals, as they're the ones who will be using the plans in the event of emergency. So part of that was Becky and Tony did attend training here in August, a little more just on safety procedures, which Becky already spoke to. So this is a secure document. This is shared with only the people that need to have knowledge of it, as it describes what we do in certain emergencies. So board approved annually, sent to the state annually, so they have a copy, and just seeking approval on that.
Any questions on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2025-26 EOPs.
Was that a second?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
Motion and a second to approve the 2025-2026 EOPs. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the resolution for the upcoming election.
All right, so the board had a good discussion last month on kind of the state of our PEPAL funds and some of the projects that this district is looking at in the near future, some of them being fairly large. And so through that discussion, I was told to investigate the ability of placing a measure on the ballot for November to take our current dollar to $1.34. Through working through this with our attorneys, we learned a few things. We can modify our current PEPAL vote that was voted on in 2020. We are not allowed to vote over that one and extend it out for 10 years. So what this motion would be placing a measure on the ballot in November that would take it from $1 to $1.34 for basically the next 5 years until that initial PEPAL vote runs its course.
I'm fine with that.
Questions, comments?
Obviously with the jail being on there too, I mean, I'm assuming we're gonna have some interesting feelings about this. From just an education standpoint, what's the plan there? We need it, we know that. But we know that because we're at these meetings and Brian's the only one there, so, and Dale.
Yeah, so basically, if this is approved by the board tonight, then from that point, we'll start a plan on the education side of things, on kind of showing the public why this is a need and what we would be able to do if it is approved. I think, as a district in especially the last year, we've gotten to a point where we've started to do a few things. And I think just based on what I've seen and what I've heard, people are very happy to see some of this stuff getting done. Seeing some rooms get remodeled, seeing some new carpet here. I think our coaches and our students will be very happy when they're riding on that new activity bus to games that are an hour and a half away. So if this is approved tonight, basically I'll get to work and create a plan on how do we inform our public of the need, and basically that can be done through some open houses. It can be done through some public informational meetings held on each campus. I think anyone who drives on the parking lot up in Sac City knows something needs to happen there. So, and I was told the other night during the volleyball scrimmage that one of our flying friends flew through the scrimmage and my dad grabbed it with his hat and took it outside. So we'd like to get to a point where we don't have bats flying through our volleyball scrimmages as well. So, and we're working in the right direction. We just, with that bond payment, we don't have a whole lot to work with. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution ordering the election on the question of amending the levy of voter approval physical plant and equipment property tax.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and I think on this one, do we need to do roll call votes? I believe.
Won't hurt to do it.
I was gonna say, usually on these we
Go
do.
ahead and do it.
Linda.
Just list the
Yes.
names.
Wallace,
Aye.
Jansma,
Aye.
Kluger,
Aye.
Wilhelm,
Aye.
Melick.
Aye.
That's
Okay.
5-0.
Motion carries, so we will, let us know what we need to do to help with that as far as getting information out.
You have some paperwork to fill out with Tyler after the meeting.
Yes.
And then Tyler has to get to the courthouse, which he's planning to do tomorrow, and
Okay.
we'll go from there, so.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to personnel items.
All right, just a few this month. 2 resignations of 2 associates, Tina McClintock and Cassie Brannan, have resigned, and contract offers. A few of these people have worked here before, so Kara Christopher to be a high school associate, Jocelyn Sunderland as a cook, and then this, I don't believe this person's worked here before, but this is somebody who saw our ad online and applied, and not only does she want to be an associate, she also wants to be a sub bus driver, so Bernice Callahan.
And then the other associate is in addition to this that you're talking about earlier?
Correct.
That'll be approved next month when it's on the agenda, but we'll,
Make a motion to approve personnel items.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the personnel items. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so I think we're up to our next meeting date, which I think you said was the 15th, audit day. Does that work for everybody?
I'm getting back from vacation, but I should be back by the time of the meeting.
Okay. All right, anything else that we need to put on the agenda for next time? Any thoughts? Kind of our standard September
Yep, that'll be the annual meeting.
annual meeting.
I won't be here. Sorry.
On the 15th.
That's an opportunity to give you lots of jobs at the annual meeting.
Look me up.
Okay. If not, then I think we are finished for the night. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All of those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.